Hey YouTube, welcome to Defense Dad. This is a brand new channel. I'm very excited about it. This is my very first video ever, so hopefully you guys like it. You know, if the title of the channel doesn't give you at least a little bit of a hint of what this channel is going to be about, it's going to be about gun ownership. I'm a father. I recently purchased my first firearm in my life about 4 months ago. I grew up shooting. My grandfather taught me how to shoot when I was younger. Both with handguns and rifles. Throughout my life, I also had other chances to go out and shoot with other friends or other family members out on farms, whether it was blue rock shooting or rifles or handguns. And I had a lot of fun. I just never felt the need to own one myself. I grew up in a small town. I guess I felt safe. I didn't grow up with a family of people who hunt on a regular basis. It just wasn't something I was really exposed to, so I didn't feel the need to own a firearm. That being said, fast forward now, it's 2019. Like it or not, the world is a much scarier place than it was when I was growing up. I'm a father. I don't try to look out for the safety of my daughter and my family. I posed myself with the question: okay, is it time to purchase a firearm? You can't pick up a newspaper or watch the news or look at Facebook for that matter without seeing all these reports of scary stuff going on in the world, and it starts to make you question things. On top of that, last summer, not to add shock value and scares to people, but within a mile and a half of my home, there were two attempted kidnappings of young girls. One of which was only 8 blocks from my house. I have a young daughter. So that kind of pushed me, and I decided, I wasn't 100% decided, but I started thinking, okay, it might be time to get a firearm so I can protect my family. I started talking to friends or family members, some of which are very pro-gun, some of which are very anti-gun. To be honest with you, I probably debated more than I really needed to. Ultimately, I decided, yes, it's time for me to purchase my firearm. In doing so, I realized, hey, I didn't really know how to go about doing that. Having never owned one before, never purchased one, I didn't know what the process was like. Ultimately, I found out where I live, it's a little easier to do than where some of you guys may live. Where I live, you have to go down to the sheriff's department, fill out your application, you wait for your background to check to come in, and you go from there. I knew my background check was going to come out just fine, so while I was waiting for it, I started looking online, saying, okay, what's out there? What do I want? There's a lot of choices out there, and to be honest with you, as someone who's never purchased one before, I was at a disadvantage over people who purchase guns on a regular basis. It can be intimidating. There's so many things out there. So I started talking to a friend of mine who's very into guns, picking his brain. What caliber? What do you want? So, and he asked me some of the same questions that everybody needs to be asked. If you're deciding to purchase your first firearm, you approach it from the standpoint of what do you want to use it for? I've been in sales for a long time, so I'm used to asking people those questions when I'm trying to sell something to them. In this case, I was my own customer for the first time in my life, which was kind of odd. So I started, okay, what's your intent for this firearm? You want it for personal carry? You want it for home defense? What do you want to do with it? My answer was ultimately home defense. I'm not necessarily looking for concealed carry, although I don't have anything against people who do that. I may end up doing it. But mainly it was for home defense. So, okay, in that case, what do you want? Do you want a handgun? You got the permit for it, but would you rather have a shotgun? Would you rather have a rifle? I decided on handgun. I have a small townhouse, not a lot of room, but I wanted some stopping power. So I ended up purchasing a 9mm, or deciding on a 9mm. Which there's a lot of debate on that, whether you should go 9mm with good defensive ammo, if you need a bigger, like a 45, it's going to have a little more stopping power. Ultimately, I went with 9mm on the suggestion of a lot of people I know for different reasons, which we can get into on other videos, but that was my decision. I also decided I wanted more than an 8 or 10 round capacity, so I went with a higher capacity firearm, which was also larger. And accuracy is better on something with a little bit larger, especially for a new shooter. So, okay, now I have the decision made. I have a full size 9mm semi-auto with some capacity in mind. Cool. Where do you buy it? You can buy it online. You can pay transfer fees. You can go online. So that comes down to money. I started. Okay, what's your budget? I don't have the luxury of a $600 to $1,000 budget for a first firearm. I have other bills, other responsibilities. So I set to me what was a reasonable budget, which I think is very important. You have to go out there. You can go to a gun store and you can become like a kid in a candy store. It's easy to overspend. Set yourself a budget. Set yourself the features you want, and go look at those firearms. I was able to watch some other YouTube videos. Just kind of suggestions of what to buy. Then I also, when I started looking at them, I had an added, I don't want to say handicap, but let's call it a caveat. Whereas I am left-handed. Well, I'll tell you what, you're going to go out there and you're going to find the majority of guns out there are set up for right-handed people. The operation of the gun is set up for a right-handed person. The mag releases, the safeties, the slide locks. So I was, posed with finding something that was ambidextrous. So I narrowed my search even further on that. Found some options, and then I was really lucky that one of my local gun ranges actually had most of those options in their rental fleet. So I was able to go for a little extra money on top of your gun range fees, rent the gun, see how they fire, see how they fit in your hand. Ultimately, I went with a choice. There's Walthers out there. There are Smith & Wessons. There are Glocks. There are Rugers. There's lots of different brands. I grew up, first handgun I ever shot was a Ruger. It was my grandfather. So I went with a Ruger. Okay. There's other models of Rugers out there, though. So I'll show you a little bit the one I actually chose. But just so you know, those are some of my thought processes. Then when you start going to the gun range, you purchase your gun. Okay, you've got it. Never shot it before. That could be a little intimidating to a new owner. So I took it to the gun range that I went to, and I was a little nervous. It was, first off, it was full. I'd never been in a gun range before in my life. I never shot inside, and I see all these people shooting like very, very tight groupings, and so I load up my first mags and I shoot, and it's a big target, and it looks like Swiss cheese. I'm all over the place. You have to learn how to use it. This is very important. If you're going to purchase a firearm, you need to go out and practice with it, because if you're not going to do that, you may as well not own it. If you're not going to practice with it and get better, you have the potential in the case that someone breaks into your house to be more dangerous to your family with a firearm in your hands than if you didn't have it and you just let them take everything. So I think you have a responsibility as a gun owner to do that practice, or you quite honestly, I don't think you should own it if you're not going to practice with it. So this channel is going to be kind of going along my journey of getting better and some of the things I overcame when purchasing my gun. I'm not going to fit it all into one video. It would be way too long. But hopefully that gives you guys an idea of what this channel is going to be about, and hopefully it's an idea you guys can get on board with and like. If you do, at the end of this video, hey, cool, like it and subscribe to it so we can keep making more. I also told you I would show you here in a little bit what I ended up purchasing. So here goes. You already know it's a Ruger. I decided with a Ruger SR9. So just to show you, it is clear, nothing in the barrel, nothing in the magwell, it is unloaded. So, and that gets into opinions too. A lot of people are, okay, so that was one thing I went there to the gun range, and a lot of people were like, oh yeah, I had a Ruger, they're okay. Well, you know what? It's what I'm learning with. I'm getting a lot better with it. We'll show the progress. That's what we're going to work with. So let's just have fun with it. And again, if you like this, I hope to hear some comments from you guys, and we'll post some other videos. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Shoot safely.